So in these examples, we are going to be factoring trinomials, and a trinomial is a three-term algebraic expression, thus the term tri meaning three. And these particular trinomials have a specific pattern to them, and that is x squared plus bx plus c. The first term here has a leading coefficient of 1. Even though you don't see it there, 1 times x squared is x squared, but it's always got a leading coefficient of 1. The second term here, that has a coefficient that we label as b, and then the third term is a constant. So you could see here for this first example here, x squared plus 7x plus 6. You can see here is our x squared plus bx. b here, the coefficient happens to be 7, and plus c, and our constant here is c is 6. Now, keep in mind that what factoring means is we take an algebraic expression and turn it into a product of expressions. So we're going to take this trinomial here, this algebraic trinomial, and when we factor it, it's going to be a product of expressions. And those products are going to be binomials. So we're going to have two binomials that we're going to multiply together that hopefully eventually, if we do it correctly, will result in this trinomial here. So if that's the case, the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go x like this with these parentheses and x like that. So here are my two binomials that I wind up eventually multiplying together and should come out to be this trinomial. The key now is to determine what are these values that are going to go in here. So the way we determine that is it's going to be two values that when we multiply them together, it's going to come out to be the constant here, which is 6, and when we add them together, it's going to come out to be the coefficient b, which is this one right here, which is 7. So we have to think of two values when we multiply together, give us 6, and when we add together, will give us 7. And those two values are positive 6 and positive 1. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. And since everything is positive, all the terms in here are positive inside our trinomial, the binomials will all be positive. And we could check this to make sure that these are the two factors that are the factors of this trinomial by using FOIL. We can go ahead and use FOIL to check. So if I do our firsts, x times x, that's x squared. Our outer, x times 1, that's x. Our inner, that's 6 times x, that's 6x. And our last, 6 times 1, that's 6. And we have common terms here, so we can combine these like terms. So this becomes x squared plus 7x plus 6, which is, of course, what we started with right here. So these are the factors of x squared plus 7x plus 6. We're going to use the same approach for this example down here. We have x squared minus 13x plus 36. So I'm going to start off going like this. There are going to be a couple of binomials. Except something to consider here is all the terms here are not positive. We have a negative term here in the middle. So when you think about it, I'm going to think of two values that when I multiply together, are going to come out to be a positive result. There's only two ways that that can happen. That's if both the factors, both those values are positive like we had up here, or both are going to be negative. When you multiply two negatives, you also come up with a positive. So both of these are going to be negative. And how do I know that? Well, because when I add them together, I'm going to get a negative result down here. So the factors that I'm going to multiply together to come up with a positive result here, but when I add them, come up with a negative, both of these have got to be negative. So I'll just put in negative. So now I have to think of two values. When I multiply together, give me 36, positive 36. When I add them together, give me negative 13. And that's got to be 4 and 9. Negative 4 times negative 9 is positive 36. And negative 4 minus 9 is negative 13. And again, you can use FOIL to go ahead and FOIL it out. X times x, that'll give you x squared. X times negative 9, that'll give you negative 9x. Negative 4 times x, that'll give you negative 4x. Negative 9x minus 4x will give us negative 13x. And negative 4 times negative 9 is 36. So let's do this final example here. We have x squared plus 8x minus 48. So again, not all the values, all the terms are positive. We have a negative 48. There's only one way that when we multiply two values together, we come up with a negative, and that's if one of them is positive and one of them is negative. So now we have to think of two values when we multiply together will give us negative 48, but when we add them together, will give us positive 8. So in order to be able to come up with a positive 8, the positive value that we're going to multiply has to be larger than the negative value. And of course, those values are 12 and 4. 12 times negative 4, it's negative 48. And 12 minus 4 is 8. And again, we can use FOIL and check it. So we have x times x, x squared. Those are our first. Our outer, x times negative 4, negative 4x. The inner, 12 times x, that's positive 12x. And the last, 12 times negative 4, negative 48. We can combine these two terms here. That gives us x squared plus 8x minus 48. So it works. And you'll find that these are the only two binomials that'll work for any one of these. And there we go.